Good morning, students.
Good morning, Mrs. Sasser.
Today we're going to engage in an academic conversation about the role of technology in your life. Remember that we want to look for your preparedness, how much you engage, and how much you connect with each other. The three of you in the back, you have the rubrics in front of you, so you'll be evaluating your peers on the inner circle as they engage in the conversation of technology in their life. You guys can begin.
So, one thing that I see is people start using technology more and more in their classrooms is that they become very helpful classroom tools, and I in every single one of my classes, not a single one of them still uses chalk and a chalkboard. They're all using their smart boards or having us pull out our iPads or get laptops or anything. So I just see technology becoming more and more of a helpful classroom tool, and old-fashioned ways that were used before technologies are becoming more and more useless to us.
And even if it's not directly in the classroom, I know a lot of times, for instance with math, I'll be in there and I'll take my notes and I'll just have no idea what's going on. So later I can go home and Google a video to walk me through the process of what I'm actually supposed to be doing. Whereas in class, sometimes the teacher just doesn't have time to sit down with me and explain something I totally don't get, so I can go home and help myself, I guess, and technology is a really good way to do that.
I agree that technology can really help with research and figuring out things that you don't quite understand, like concepts. But at the same time, a lot of our classroom homework is being shifted to online homework, and math and writing and things like that are usually put on Google Docs or Math Excel technology. And the problems I see with that is that if you don't have internet access, a lot of the time you can't complete your homework. So if you're on a trip, if you're in the car, you can't do your homework, and sometimes you have to turn it in late, and then you have to explain to your teacher why that's a problem. And also in math, when you're trying to do homework online, it usually wants you to put the answer in a specific way, and that's a problem because math has multiple ways to write each answer. So you may have the answer correct, it's just you did it wrong for how the program works.
On the other hand of that, if you do get the answer wrong, there's usually step-by-step instructions on how to do the problem correctly, which I found was super helpful because if I didn't know the premise of the problem that I'm trying to solve in math, for example, then I found that it was super helpful to have every step of thinking, even if it's things you wouldn't normally think about, but they list out every step for you, specifically in the program we use in our school. And I found that it's super helpful for me when I'm trying to internalize somewhat new information.
I think it's just a helpful thing, kind of going over what you just said, but there's a bunch of layers to it. So we have a Math Excel program where it gives you online math problems and you are to solve it, and you have an option to help you solve the problem. But let's say you don't understand that, so then you have a video to help you understand it further. And then in class we use smart boards, which we can just write on, and the teacher can go through, and it's an electronic version so you can look at it later. So I think all of it just comes together to be able to be helpful in general.
I think using technology in the classroom is really helpful because instead of lugging huge textbooks for example, my physics textbook, which has 25 chapters and over 500 pages, I can instead bring in my iPad, which is something lighter and easier to carry around. And not only that, I can use other tools and apps on the iPad or a laptop that would help me better in a pen and paper in the classroom. For example, other than carrying textbooks on my iPad, I can draw notes and then store them online so I can view them anytime in the cloud when I'm at home or if I'm on the road or if I'm in the car or anywhere like that. Also tools such as iMovie can be really helpful in a school project, such as if I want to make a video documentary for one of my classes, I can quickly record something on my phone or iPad and then make a video about it and then submit it to my teacher.
One of the issues that I see with saying that technology is really useful for specifically having things that help with classwork is the fact that I have a school-given iPad, and the amount of school-driven apps like Google Docs and stuff compared to actual games isn't even a fair ratio. I have maybe 5 or 6 apps that have actually helped me with my studying, whether it be the Notes app or Google Docs or Google Drive, and I have about 5 or 6 times that of different apps such as YouTube and Netflix and different apps that definitely aren't helpful for the school environment.
Kind of talked about the school portion, so what do you all think about like what happens at home? Like how does it impact you at your house or your like everyday life at home?
The teenagers in social networking referenced violent video games and access to a plethora of inappropriate things like pornography and all sorts of things like that. I don't think that that having technology necessarily means that you'll abuse it. I think the people that are responsible enough will use it correctly, and the people that want to sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, sort of going off what Alad said, I think it is a challenge to like really have to like discipline yourself to like put down your phone or whatever it is and like actually do your homework. But like on the flip side of that, that's almost useful because it teaches students that they have to like prioritize school, and you have to make like an active choice to like, okay, instead of like sitting on my phone or like not paying attention in class or whatever it is, like you're gonna sit and do your homework and you're gonna like discipline yourself. And that almost like leads to like a higher maturity level when you're so used to like self like regulating and like being more self-driven to like actually make choices that you know like benefit you.
I agree with Nicole because thinking about it, I think technology is a powerful tool, and apparently when it comes to a person using it, if they use it in a good way, it can be something that's beneficial to them. But if they choose to like abuse it or misuse it in the wrong way, then of course it could be a distraction or not even useful at all at times.
Going back to what she said, you said that like we can learn from technology to like better manage our time and things like that. In my own life, I am really bad at procrastination, so I always wait until the last minute to do everything. And technology just like makes my procrastination worse because I'll like watch a TV show or look at YouTube and I can spend hours on that and not even look at the time. And it's like 10 or 11 o'clock before I've even started my homework. And if anything, I've gotten worse over this school year than I've gotten better. So I feel like I haven't learned time management. I'm actually getting worse just because I keep on getting distracted by technology at my house.
And that's a matter of like self-control, like bringing it back to both like in home and in the classroom. If you say that technologies are too distracting, then maybe you have the wrong things on your phone, or you've been training yourself to spend time on the wrong apps and stuff, and they can be undistracting and very useful tools if you train yourself to be, but that's one of the problems with our generation specifically, is that there's so many things that we have access to that it makes it like so much harder than any other generation for us to make them undistracting and have that control to be able to stay off your phone.
I think one of the biggest things that I like think about to try to keep myself from doing that is the long-term effect of what I'm doing or like what's distracting me. So if I'm watching a show online, instead of doing my homework or whatever, or studying for a test, then I know that watching that show is not going to help me down the road. So, I mean, unless I want to be an actor, then, I mean, watching those shows and like it's not going to help whatsoever. It's just kind of a waste of time.
And another sort of effect of like having so many answers and like resources so readily available is like all the time I use like an iPad or a computer or whatever it is to like help me do my homework. And like, I'm not saying I do this all the time, but sometimes if I just like don't get something and I'm tired and I want to go to bed, I'll just like Google it and I'll just write down the answer that Google has. And sort of like in the long term, that means that I don't actually understand what the homework was about or like what we're talking about in class. So it sort of leads to me like not doing the work I should be doing to like help my education. And like also, since we use technology so much, like when it actually comes to like I need to use a book to use this, or like I need to use like my own like brain, like I can't rely on Google or like someone else's ideas, that makes those tasks like so much harder than it was like if I do that regularly.
Going back to what you said about copying the answers from the internet, I think that even without technology, then you can always copy up a friend. If you're not willing to put forth the effort to do the work, I think, not you specifically, I was...
It's okay.
But I think in general, if someone's not ready to put forth the effort to do their work, there's always ways they can go around that. whether that be copy off a friend or look it up in a book or something. I don't know. It doesn't have to be technology. I think that I think that technology doesn't necessarily have to be this evil thing that allows you to cheat or go around it. If you're willing to do the work, you're going to do the work regardless of what technology you have in front of you.
Yash mentioned a few points ago about like the long-term effects of technology, and to kind of close us out here, I think that one of the most important things to realize with technology, especially in our generation, as we're growing up in a generation where there's constantly new technology improving and new technology coming out, is that many of the new job skills and the new career paths that are being opened up, doors being opened up to us, is the fact that there's new graphic designing technology, there's new technology for computers, and like I feel like every single job skill, like everything involves technology now, so maybe technology isn't necessarily a bad thing for our future generation anyways.